Hi, Baes. It's your girl, Chaila, creator of B.A.E, a real life study of love and relationships, coming at you once again with another installment of the self series Before Anyone Else. So, we've been moving right on along. It won't be long before the self series is coming to a close. There's just a couple of more topics that we have left before it's done. And so, once again, I just want to say thank you to everyone just for following along. And if you've decided to take this journey of self discovery with me, I really do thank you and I appreciate you for that. I appreciate you for honoring yourself. So, moving right along and getting right on into it, I want to talk really quickly about perception versus reality. And so, I did a class once, and in that class, the main theme was perception is everything. So, even though I may perceive something a certain way, and someone else may perceive something another way, it doesn't make it particularly wrong or invalid. It just might not be what actually happened. That's happened to me plenty of times where I've perceived certain things or situations a certain way based on my experiences, rather, I would say, rather, experience of the past, based on my experience of the past, rather than actually taking that as face value as it was happening in real time. So that is definitely a learned skill. I think in order for you to really decipher what's really happening versus what you perceive based on past experiences, you have to have been doing your work up until this point. So if you're starting right here at perception versus reality, then I definitely suggest you start all the way at the top at the relaunch playlist. Definitely, because perception versus reality requires a level of honesty with yourself. It requires probably the highest level of honesty with yourself. It also requires the constant, the constant. Let me see. What is this word I'm looking for? I'm totally having a brain fart. But the constant effort to recognize your ego and go another direction and choose something else. Because as we know, the ego will do anything to stay relevant. And if the ego could run your life, it would. And that doesn't make for a very happy life, a ego driven person. It just doesn't. I mean, you can try, people can try, but no, be living in your ego definitely doesn't make you happy. It actually makes you miserable. So a certain level of honesty, the highest level of honesty with yourself, getting rid of your ego and knowing your triggers. So we also did the triggers video, knowing your triggers. So these days, for example, for me, when something happens and I'm like, oh, I don't really like how that happened, or I don't really like that. One of the first things I ask myself is, why don't you like it? What's going on, or what has going on with you where you're taking this personally, first of all? And if I can tie any of that back to a previous situation, if I can tie that back to an insecurity that I have or have had, or if I could tie that back to just being in my ego or a trigger that would place me in on the defense, then I'm like, oh, so maybe that actually did not happen that way, but based on my experiences, I initially perceived it that way because of what has happened in the past. So if you can go through those steps and train yourself when something occurs that you don't like or doesn't really vibe with you can ask yourself, why don't I like this? and you don't have to like it. It just could be that something about it doesn't vibe with your spirit, and you don't know exactly what it is, and you don't need to know exactly what it is. Sometimes you really just have to go with your intuition. And so if it's not any of those things, if it's not a trigger, if it's not your ego, if it's not something based on a past experience, then odds are, yeah, it's probably just rubbing your spirit wrong, and your intuition is telling you to go the other direction. Listen. Yeah. So I think that in this day and age, perception versus reality is a really big thing. Partly because a lot of people haven't done the work that it takes to in order to decipher reality versus what's going on in their head. And so I think that once more of us take that time to really put the work in, to really get to know ourselves, then we'll know when things happen and when things occur that this is actually happening, and it's not something that I'm making up in my head. And I may not need to know all the answers, but what I can say is that I've gone through my checks and balances, and it's not anything that I've seen before. It's not familiar. It's not triggering my ego. So I'm just going to leave it alone, and I'm going to honor myself in leaving that alone, because something in my intuition and something in my spirit is telling me to. So I'm just going to do that. Yeah. So as you journey along and you take your journey to self-discovery, I know for me, I can't speak for everyone else, but I know for me, honoring myself is extremely important. So in the effort to do that, I have let a lot of people and things and places go, because at the end of the day, if I have to choose, I'm always choosing me. Yay. So, yeah, that is perception versus reality. I hope that anyone who's watching this is just able to benefit from this video and benefit from this series. Like, please spread the word. I can't do this without y'all. So, spread the word. Tell people about that dope chick that's doing this thing called Baeology, a real life study of love and relationships. If you have any questions or interested in one-on-one consults, you can email me at baeologyinfo@gmail.com. I'll put that information below. You can follow me on Instagram. It's Chaila Scott, or at Chaila Scott on Instagram. And so I'll put that information below too. And what else? Do I want to? No, I don't want to do that. I think that is it. So yeah, I just completed like a really, really awesome photo shoot this past weekend. And so I am so excited to be launching like that photo series on my Instagram. So by all means, like, please go and follow. I love new followers. And yeah, I just hope that you all enjoy. Once again, I just want to thank each and every one of you so very much. And I want you to take these nuggets and let them sit in your spirit. And don't forget to be kind to one another. Okay, till next time, Baes. Bye-bye.